Good evening, folks. It's Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, just say no to the zoning board chair. Find out why. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Join me. Good evening, Yonkers. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, just say no to the zoning board chair. Why should our Yonkers City Council reconsider their nominee for the zoning board chair? Yeah, I mean, they have to do their job properly. You have to do the job right. It's something I've been talking about when it comes to appointments on these boards. Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. How you doing tonight? Happy Monday. Start of a new week. Hope everyone had a good day. I want to go over the zoning board chair potential, the candidate, the nominee that they are considering to appoint to the chair, Wilson Kimball, who's already on the zoning board of appeals. She's been on there for about 2 years now, but there's an interesting story with her, and I want to go over that. But speaking of Wilson Kimball, who is head of Macy, the housing authority, they're promoting, Councilman Rubo's business. Do they do that for everyone or just elected officials who have their businesses located on the property of these developers? Anyway, anyone going to the Rubo party at the Yonkers, the Emmy party at the Yonkers Brewing, make sure you go. The Municipal Housing Authority is promoting it. I mean, can anyone get their business promoted, or is it just certain businesses? I don't know. I do also want to mention this. I think this is very important. This is something that we've been speaking about a lot, and something that we talked about here on Basement Politics. I talked about from the very beginning. Is one of the reasons why I started Basement Politics. This is a demonstration, a rally, a call to action. Fight for your parental and civil rights. Family court abuse protest, September 27th at 10 a.m. It will start at Yonkers City Hall. They will walk down to family court over there on Warburton, DSS, Department of Social Services. And a lot of people have had issues with this. I have had my own issues with this false reporting, and just, coincidentally, someone actually reached out to me today in regards to false reporting. Again, 84% of CPS reports are false. And so now there has been changes, and thanks to Andrew Stewart Cousins, they have to leave their name. People just can't call and not leave their name. You have to leave your name and contact info. They don't give it to the people who are being reported on, but they do get their information, because if it's false, they got to know who to call back. This happens a lot, and after we spoke about it, my wife and I, a lot of people came out and started to, reach out and say, man, it happened to me. Thank you for speaking out. Because we, a lot of people don't want to, it's embarrassing, people are ashamed. And even if it's not true, people are going to be like, could have been true. They probably was doing that. And a lot of people out there looking to hate, right? They look for the negative, so they will do that. But, so people don't want to say anything about it. But, it's important that we speak up and speak out. There's a lot of corruption within the family courts and CPS, within judges and legal law guardians and stuff like that. So, make sure you come out for that, especially if you're somebody that's been impacted like I have been, negatively and falsely. And this has all been, documented. It's been documented that it was false and malicious, and they even called the people to tell them to stop. But, they should do more than that. They can actually go to jail for reporting false CPS cases. So, I wanted to share that because that's important to me and a lot of families that are going through it. I did want to also mention this. City of Yonkers underreports income and taxes to the IRS and New York State. According to the IRS publication 15B, employers providing company cards to employees are required to report personal mileage as taxable fringe benefits on W-2s issued to such employees. This is basically in regards to the cars that the Yonkers City Council members and others get as perks. They get free cars, free gas, the insurance, everything's free. right? And they haven't been reporting that on their income tax because that's a perk. That's basically like a part of your salary, so you have to report that. And they haven't been. So what's going to happen there? And a lot of people, including myself, have been saying they should turn in those cars. The city is strapped for cash, right? I think the schools are more important. So all the available cash should go to the schools. It's a part-time job, one which they get a full-time salary for many times. I mean, getting $60,000 a year or more. And it's, a job that they do a lot through Zoom. They don't even go to City Hall. And it should be like there's cars there if they need to go somewhere, travel, well, then go to your job, take the car, right? That's how it's been any job I've had in my lifetime where there was a company car available. So I don't understand why the city taxpayers have to pay for that, cell phones and everything else when we're strapped for cash. That doesn't make sense to me. Give the cars up. Shout out to Anthony Moranti. I did see him today also. And, I spot you, Anthony, with the New York Giants plate. But he drives his own car and he makes it a point, to drive his own car because he understands he's the finance guy. He's in charge of, I think he chaired the finance and budget committee, right? So he understands the need to save every penny, and it's not needed. They don't do a lot of driving. I mean, then stop going to all those freaking flag raisings and, those little galas and stuff you guys go to, right? I mean, that's not really all that important in what you're supposed to be doing anyway. So I wanted to point that out. That was in the Yonkers Tribune. And somebody said, Freddie, man, have you noticed that the Yonkers Tribune is going after, the Spanos and the city council members and stuff lately with that fake play, the politics on the Hudson? Yeah, I noticed that. I don't know what's that about. A lot of things are going on. And tomorrow is September 13th. It's not Friday the 13th. It's Tuesday the 13th. It's the day of the rally. Who's going to the rally at Unity Fountain at 7 p.m. in regards to the term elimination? Stop the term elimination rally call to action by exposing Yonkers corruption, the Facebook page that recently popped up and has everyone guessing. It's like a real life movie we're in, guys. I feel like we're in a Netflix series. Seriously, I do. Like, this is the mystery writer now that's exposing all this stuff. Then you got me, the podcaster guy that just says it all out there, and the politicians and the people, the advocates, the organizations, the corruption. They're going to make it. Lionsgate's going to do a movie about it right here in Yonkers, And so that's what I feel like when people are wondering who is the mystery person, are they going to show up at the rally? Are they going to come out? What's going to happen? But I do know that people are going. People are actually going. People have said, yeah, we're going to go. Regardless of what, they still feel strongly about eliminating terms, and they want the city council members who have been completely ignoring this to know that. They have not made any mention of it. And, I know why they do that. They do that because it's like out of sight, out of mind. Oh, we didn't know. We didn't hear it. Oh, we didn't know the people wanted to rally. Oh, we didn't even know. Right. That's what they try to do. They try to play deaf, dumb, and whatever, blind, deaf, and dumb. Right. So that's why they do it. None of them have made a comment. I even tagged them on it and no one responded. And also, by the way, Tasha Diaz, you have a chief of staff that makes $92,000 a year. Why can't he respond to people's questions they have? Why do he refer them to the Miriam Group, a communications company that does communications, I guess, or publicity or whatever, public relations, excuse me, for the city of Yonkers? They need to hire this company. And by the way, one of the owners is the father of Lin-Manuel, I believe, the guy who created that play Hamilton. So, he's very big in politics, the gentleman. But yeah, they hired his company. I would imagine that's a lot of money, more taxpayer money. You're paying $92,000 to Brenton. He can't answer the email. It was a simple question. I believe the question was, why did she flop on the housing? And no, it was not me. Someone else emailed her and they showed me the response, which was Brenton Bullock saying, I'm the chief of staff. All questions, please refer to them to our communications firm, the Miriam Communications Group. Really? Unbelievable. Anyway, folks, does our Yonkers City Council members care about their community? It's not a trick question. Not at all. Let me go to some of the comments before I go on to this next stuff. A part of my story that I have yet to talk about with Freddie involves high-ranking police officials in the YPD understanding the flaws in the family court system and weaponizing them against me. Yeah, that's been weaponized against a lot of people. I can't wait to get into that. I will explain this in great detail on one of my podcast appearances with Freddie in the future, and I hope to be going on with Anthony again for part 4 on Friday. Yes, sir, but it's Yonkers. A part of my story that I read that already. But anyway, so I'm moving on. So does the Yonkers City Council care about the city, the community? I don't think so, right? The community where their constituents live, the people that they took an oath to represent. However, more and more we are beginning to see just how little the city council considers the people of the great city of Yonkers. I could go on with the examples supporting my statement. A huge example is the inability to get a new affordable housing ordinance passed with a super majority for Black women. Democrats, super majority, still cannot get one passed, right? New affordable housing ordinance that address the needs of many seeking safe, clean, and affordable housing. They essentially voted it down and have provided nothing worth mentioning in its place. But I've talked about that enough, although I think I will never be able to talk about it enough. Tonight, I want to discuss the lack of effort and neglect of the City of Yonkers Council to make the neglect that they have when selecting the right people or appointing the right people to various committees and boards, right? Boards and committees that have huge impacts on the City of Yonkers and the residents here. One such board is the Zoning Board of Appeals. Although I missed last week's City Council meeting. Did anyone catch that meeting live? I was upset that I didn't catch it live. I really wish I had. I would have had a lot of comments there. Did anyone notice Shanae Williams stuttering, scared to ask the lady that I'm going to speak about tonight a question? The question she wanted to ask was, did she think that Yonkers, District 1 specifically, downtown area, was being overdeveloped with, how can I say this? I don't know how to put it. Let me think. Luxury developments. I mean, she stuttered like crazy, fearing this woman. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people say things about this individual. She's scary. Some have called her evil. And she has the ability to get people terminated from their positions. And I will go into that in a second, right? That's crazy. She was just stuttering. Anyway, last week, the city council meeting, they appeared to, have people, they appeared for the first time coming back from their break. And one of the agendas or items on the agendas was the appointment of chair to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Now that the former chair had retired or resigned, retired, they sent them away. Wilson Kimball, I said it, would be the next chairperson. And I was correct. So last week's meeting, that's what they were talking about. They're going to be voting on whether or not to appoint her. So they did their interview. And I noticed that they really were asking a lot of questions. So, I have an impact, right? They try to make it seem like they're really putting in an effort, right? But are they really fully putting in an effort? Because Kimball has an interesting story which begins back at her days at the Battery Park Authority in Manhattan. And while I have mentioned her on my podcast before, she is no stranger to publicity. In fact, she has been written about in the Daily News, the Post, CBS News, and elsewhere. But the most important was the New York State Inspector General's report of his investigation into Kimball and then president of the Battery Park City Authority, James Cavanaugh, who is now her current husband, right? Back then they were dating, although Cavanaugh, I believe, was married. And what is the Battery Park Authority? I want to talk about that really quick. It's important because a lot of this stuff is happening here in Yonkers. Established in 1968, the Battery Park City Authority was charged with developing and maintaining a well-balanced community on the Lower West Side of Manhattan, in place of where deteriorating piers once stood in the Hudson River Battery Park City. Has, right? So basically that area down where you see Trump Towers and all that stuff now, the all the way down, it was all messed up. Some of you folks probably remember that stuff, and then they fixed it all up and everything. Now you have luxury developments all there, right? So that's what's happening here in Yonkers, I take it. Well, Wilson Kimball was working for the Battery Park City Authority along with James Cavanaugh, before they were investigated by the Inspector General. So I want to read really quick a little bit about it. New York, this is from some paper, I don't know. New York's Battery Park City Authority squandered more than $300,000 on parties, gift, and free lunches as staff complained of favoritism by top executive. A report released today by the Inspector General, which I'll read in a second. The Inspector General targeted wasteful spending of the public funds from 2005 to 2008 on items from $100,000 on executive lunches to $16,000 open bar parties. Inappropriate charitable donations, including $100,000 gifts to Auburn University, a foundation in Alabama. Why? Another interesting charitable donation that they made that they found unusual, the Inspector General, was to the Yonkers Puerto Rican Day Parade Committee. They wonder why they made a contribution to that organization, right? In response to the findings, which the Inspector General shared preliminary in January, the board of the Battery Park of Directors underwent a substantial membership change, and Chairman James Gill and CEO James Cavanaugh resigned. Now, James Cavanaugh is currently the president of the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency. That is the agency that gives all the developers those tax breaks, the pilots, the payment in lieu of taxes. This is why it's important. This is why it's important. We have to understand the individuals that are head of these agencies that are giving away our taxes, that are giving away our land, that are allowing for all these developments to go up, which are pushing out businesses that have been here, that don't want to move, but they are forced out. We need affordable housing, yet none of that really is being built. It's mostly luxury, right? So we have to understand who are the individuals that are behind this and how our city council is not considering these individuals thoroughly, or maybe they just don't care, or maybe they're in on it. I mean, they're taking away JFK Marina, Trevor Park. This is what they're doing. And these are the individuals behind it. So James Cavanaugh was president of the Battery Park City Authority then, before he was investigated, and Wilson Kimball worked there along with him. I'm going to read the allegations. In November 2008, the Inspector General received a complaint which alleged fraud and corruption at the Battery Park City Authority involving then Chairman James Gill, then President James Cavanaugh, Vice President of Human Resources Robert Holden, and Senior Vice President of Operations Wilson Kimball. Right? According to the complaint, Cavanaugh was romantically involved with a subordinate, Wilson Kimball, and as a result of this relationship, she received undue perks. In addition, it was alleged that no one crossed Kimball, and that's true. That's why Shanae was stuttering. That's why Shanae was scared in that meeting to ask her, right? Because any slight gets taken directly to Cavanaugh. So anytime anyone said anything about Wilson Kimball while she was at Battery Park, she went right to James Cavanaugh, who she was having a romantic relationship with at the time, and he would get them fired. And she did the same thing in order to get to the chair of the zoning board. And I'll tell you about that in a second. In addition, it was alleged Gill has hired a friend's consulting firm, which failed to earn its substantial fees. Other allegations included the dismissal of the authority's controller, contrary to written policies, a retaliatory termination of a manager for documenting a complaint concerning Cavanaugh, Kimball, and Holden, and the whitewashing of an investigation by the Vice President of Internal Audit, Lisa Miller, at Cavanaugh's direction. So he's willing to direct people to cover things up. Yet he is working as the president of the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency, giving out these developers tax breaks. And they're supposed to give jobs to the people in order to get those tax breaks, but they haven't. They've been getting out-of-state contractors, but yet they still getting the tax breaks. That's affecting Yonkers. The people who pay property taxes are going to have to subsidize the lack of taxes that we will be receiving for the next 10, 15 years as a result of these developers, or even longer, because some of them have yet to be built, right? And so I want to, you can look at that report. You can find it online. It's all public information. I want to read about what they wrote in the Daily News. Former honchos at the Battery Park City Authority squandered more than $300,000 on lavish open bar parties, lunches, gifts, and other perks. The state inspector general found the authority also made more than $100,000 in improper charitable donations and wrongly rewarded then board chairman James Gill with the use of a car and driver, nearly $19,000. Such excessive spending by state authority was outrageous, said the inspector general. And again, so should we have these individuals who have been investigated for misappropriating funds anywhere near our city? Right? They were even paying James Cavanaugh, according to the Post, James Cavanaugh, well, even Inspector General, James Cavanaugh Wilson Kimball had an apartment in the financial district that the New York Post labeled a love's nest. They were paying for it on the taxpayer dime. So this is the person that our city council is considering to appoint as the chairperson of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Another reason why she should not be appointed is because she is the reason why 2 of the senior most members were removed. Just like she had people at the Battery Park fired, she had individuals from the Zoning Board of Appeals removed. She's been there 2 years. The individuals that she had removed had been in there over 30 years, had knowledge, were right for the position. And the reason why she forced their removal was because they would not approve the 44 Hudson Terrace project over there behind ShopRite. And then once she got them removed without even letting them know, they had to watch the city council, the silly council, appoint new people to their spots. That's how they found out. They then got that project approved. But our Yonkers City Council didn't even ask, why were we appointing new members? What happened to the other 2 individuals? And why is that important? There's a reason why there are zoning laws. The 2 individuals that were removed thought that that project was not good for the area and for the people there. But Wilson Kimball wanted it done. There's money to be made with these developers. And if you read the report, you will surely see who are these individuals. You will see their character. And you will ask yourself, why are they even anywhere here in the city of Yonkers? Immediately after Wilson Kimball left Battery Park, which was in 2011, November of 2011, 2 months later, she winds up in Yonkers as the executive director for the Yonkers Downtown Waterfront Development Corporation. How did that happen? Did no one care about this? Apparently not. Former BPCA president hired by state lobbying firm. Despite being accused last month of squandering $300,000 in Battery Park City Authority funds on superfluous things, like extravagant parties and lunches, former BPCA president Jim Cavanaugh is now gainfully employed at Empire Strategic Planning, a state lobbying firm. Cavanaugh's term as the president of BPCA spanned 5 years, but he stepped down from the post a month before he was accused of mismanaging finances and playing favorites. He is still eligible for retirement benefits, right? Of course. Cavanaugh labeled the Inspector General's report about his activities nonsense, of course. And then he went to work as a lobbyist before coming down to Yonkers to head the IDA. A state watchdog says public authority that oversees Battery Park City in Manhattan wasted nearly $350,000 over 3 years on party picnics and catered lunches. The housing agency spent $45,000 a year on picnics. These people were investigated by the Inspector General of New York State. So I'm hoping that the city council is listening and reconsiders who they are going to appoint as the chairperson, or is it out of their control? Make sure you let every council person know who's going to vote. That person should not be chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And where are the individuals that were removed? We want them back. They obviously have more sense. Unbelievable. You're making history. Oh, yeah? Let's see. I hear the mayor will be naming a park after his father. Yeah. Love that report. It can be applied here, nearly word for word. Absolutely. 1000%. Wilson's ex-boyfriend shared with me his opinion about all the vacations she has taken ever since. What does that mean? Sandy Anabi went to prison for much less. Yeah. And, you know, like really quick about Sandy Anabi, I've been saying that Tasha Diaz, that flip-flop on that housing ordinance is exactly like that Ridge Hill scandal. Exactly like it. We'll see. And to think she is mayor material. Well, I hear she was, but I hear she's not going to now. I don't think so. Not with that report. Summer D and Sandy were misled by and misguided and used by a two-time convicted felon. According to local profile on 2019, the former Eastchester town supervisor got his political start working for the mayor Mike Spano's father, Leonard Spano. In addition to recently served as an associate at the government relations and lobbying firm owned by Mayor Mike Spano's brother, Nick Spano. Oh, that's how you got the job down here as the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency. But they give out these tax breaks. The reason why they are supposed to give out those tax breaks is because they're supposed to provide jobs to local people in the community where the IDA is given out. That's Yonkers, or at least Westchester. And they're not. Many of the work that's happening is not even union work. Earlier today on Yonkers Avenue, I see these guys on a roof. One guy's throwing the bags out to another guy who's standing on the roof. He's throwing it down onto a truck where a guy's standing by the truck. Some old pickup truck. It looks like the ones that they used to come around with the watermelon back in the day. Remember Watermelon Man? Anybody remember that? Yonkers? That looked like that truck. They're throwing it down. Well, that's not OSHA, I'm sure, regulations. And in fact, I know of an incident that happened where a man was killed because they were doing something exactly like that. They were throwing the stuff out of the window into a dumpster below, hitting someone. And they get to get away with it because they are paying someone, obviously. And so we have to make this all aware. I'm going to expose all of it. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to read. Anytime I see something like that, no hard hats or nothing. You want to give me a hard time? I'm going to give everyone out here a hard time because I know those guys are paying certain individual to get permits and stuff for them quickly and to have those things overlooked. So I'm going to be on those individuals to mess with you. I want to mess with my business, but that's dangerous. Also, someone got killed. So, you know, I wanted to just talk about that really quick, almost 30 minutes here. Again, our city council, Shanae Williams, don't be scared, girl. Let her know. I read that report. I'm going to vote no. Tasha Diaz, let's see what she does. Anthony Moranti, did you read the report? Mike Breen, John Rubo, Corazon Pineda. And what about you, City Council President Lakeisha Collins Bellamy? Because that is your boss. Wilson Kimball is the City Council President's boss over at Macy. She is responsible for getting Lakeisha Collins Bellamy elected. She wanted Mike Cater out. Mike Cater was not wanting to speed so fast with the developments, and he also wanted to pass the 20% housing ordinance. So they got rid of him. They used the developers, funding the community or committee for a better Yonkers, and got Lakeisha in. She was picked out of Macy. Wilson Kimball, responsible. She said it. And she said that Wilson Kimball was going to have a huge influence in how she was as city council president. And that's not okay, because that's all developer basically influence. If they allow Wilson Kimball to be the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeal, the developers if they haven't already, pretty much are controlling the zoning board along with everything else. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Thank you, folks. I want to talk about that because that's very important. We want to put them on the spot. Are you doing your job? That's their responsibility. They are the checks and balance. The city council is supposed to say, okay, no, you can't get this person. Look at their history. What do the people need here in the city of Yonkers? Affordable housing. So when Shanae finally got the question out, whether she thought there were, it was being overdeveloped with luxury housing or developments, she just gave this answer which completely avoided it. And then spoke of the one development going up on Main Street, the one all affordable housing, which is only 76 units. That's nothing compared to 1,500 that are going up right there on Buena Vista in between Prospect and Hudson Street alone. 76 units of affordable housing, and they're only giving them 24 parking spaces. The 900 unit development, the luxury one, is getting 900 unit parking spaces. So you have to understand who's taking over the city, the developers. Individuals like this woman, Wilson Kimball, James Cavanaugh, people that are in the developers' pockets that have become multimillionaires doing these type of deals under the table, first down at Battery Park, now here in Yonkers. And if our city council appoints this person as the chair, they're basically saying, we don't care about what the people want. We are only responsible for what our masters request of us. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock at Unity Fountain. Who's going to be there? Who's going to be there? New York Times 99. For more than a year, the Martinelli newspaper has been running items in all 8 papers attacking Mr. Cavanaugh and Mr. Doherty and occasionally other Republican officials like Senator Spano. Is James Cavanaugh guilty of stealing from the public? Is an item that runs regularly on page 1 and is repeated inside the newspapers. Is Cavanaugh cracking up? Was the headline in another issue. Mr. Cavanaugh said the newspaper has also erroneously said that he had it been to, I don't know if you continue here. Mr. Marlin said he was just doing what a journalist should do, exposing wrongdoing. Mr. Cavanaugh, he charged, had a no-so job when he worked part-time as a communications assistant for Senator Spano from 94 to 98. Mr. Martinelli wants the release of Mr. Cavanaugh's timesheets for more than a year. His newspaper has been calling on their readers to telephone Mr. Cavanaugh and ask him to tell the truth. Yeah, I doubt it. All rocky risers. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Some interesting stuff that I was showing a little bit not too long ago. It's going to be an interesting year. Interesting election cycle 2023. Make sure you come out and vote. They're saying that we have to focus on the people that are already voters. And that's true. But we have to also encourage those who have not been voting to engage in the political system, because otherwise we are going to get developers who take over. And through the use of puppet politicians, those who are seeking to enrich themselves, they completely dominate the city. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Time for change. Are you going to be there tomorrow? I'm going to see what's going on. I'll be there at 7, Unity Fountain, for that rally by exposing Yonkers corruption. I know some people are going. I'll be there to cover it. Join me live at 7 o'clock at Unity Fountain. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Have a beautiful and blessed night. All roads leads to the John Caden. And look, I get caught in the middle. Have a good night, folks. Take care. City Council is bought and paid for. 1,000%. Ask Tasha Diaz why she flip-flopped on that housing ordinance, knowing that the people of the city of Yonkers need affordable housing. You live in affordable housing, Tasha. And you basically said, we don't need any more. Those who need it and can't find it, oh well, move somewhere else, get out of Yonkers. The developers are who I'm loyal to. That's basically what she said, folks. And she's up for re-election next year, District 3. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Have a blessed and beautiful night. I'll post the report in the comment section for all those interested in reading it. There you go, folks. The report has been posted in the comment section for anyone who's interested in reading it. Read through it. See the individuals that are operating within the city of Yonkers. Read about the individual that our Yonkers City Council is looking to appoint as the chairperson of the Zoning Board of Appeals, a very important board. They're going to completely change everything. And you folks on the east side, oh, wait till she gets in there. She's going to change it all up. And she's going to change that area up with a bunch of developments. There is a Metro North line on that side, isn't there? Coming to you, east side. Coming to you, homeowners. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'm telling you. I called it. I said she was going to be the next chairperson. I called it. There we go. I called it a while back. So I'm out of here. Have a good night, folks. Take a look. Read. Let me know. Comment. Peace. Peace. Peace.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were.
She was raised in housing, but she killed the affordable housing ordinance. Wow. Wow, what a sellout. Sellouts. What a sellout. That's messed up, man. That is messed up.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were. I went to Yonkers Public Schools. I don't think you did. We can go on all night with this, honey.
Yeah, she was raised in housing, but she killed the housing ordinance. She went to Yonkers Public Schools, but hasn't done diddly squat for them. No monitors, kids getting left at the wrong bus stop, taken to the wrong schools, hot buses, kids with asthma, can't breathe. The superintendent is great and he needs more to work with. You heard me? Chair of the Education Committee, Tasha Diaz.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were. I went to Yonkers Public Schools. I don't think you did. We can go on all night with this, honey.
You should have more empathy and sympathy for those who need housing and our Yonkers Public Schools and the condition that they're in. Allow the superintendent. He needs more.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
He could only do so much.
Freddie wins.
Thank you, Dr. Sada. I'm Freddie Vasquez. The schools are important. Housing is important. Thank you to all those who are fighting for more housing. Those that truly care about the people. Have a good night.
Freddie wins.